Hello, today we're going to talk about proper squatting technique, and we have a couple athletes here that are going to help us. And the first thing we're going to talk about is bar placement on the back of the athlete and foot position and hand position so that we can execute the squat in a safe manner. Zach, if you get underneath the bar for us. We want to put our athlete in right in the middle of the bar, and we want that bar, before you take it off, to be a little bit lower on the back so that we don't touch any cervical spine, and therefore we can find a spot about where the traps are, and that allows him to comfortably have the bar on his back without any excessive pressure on his cervical spine. His hands are we tell him to be comfortable with your hands so that we're not too tight to be constricted, and yet we're not too wide where our hands could possibly get injured when we put the bar back in the rack. Zach's in a really good position here. He's going to simply lift the bar up off the rack. He's going to take approximately 2 steps back in this rack situation where he assumes his stance prior to the actual lift. When we assume our stance, we like to have our athletes get an athletic position where their feet are approximately hip width, or sometimes I tell them they can put their feet underneath their armpits. Now, that'll also change a little bit. Every athlete, every lifter usually has their own style, as you'll see when our next athlete comes in here and does the same thing. But once Zach's feet are about hip width, he adjusts his toes to a little bit of an angle outward, not too much. Actually, 8 to 10 degrees is perfect. We don't want it too wide, and yet we don't want it straight ahead, and we surely don't want our feet pigeon-toed before we execute our lift. Also, before we start any kind of downward movement, I want to make sure our kids have proper posture and that their eyes are straight ahead, which gives us what we call as a neutral neck and allows our spine to stay in a neutral position while standing at full extension in good posture. All right, we're going to continue talking about the bar placement on our lifters' backs this afternoon, and also our stance and posture before we begin our initial squatting movement. Chris, if you get underneath the bar for me. We have a little taller athlete than our other one, so there's a little bit of different dynamics, but the fundamentals are the same. Before he comes off the bar, I want to reiterate that the bar is not touching any cervical spine, and we want to achieve that position on the back where the traps are. Chris is going to take the bar off. Like our last, he's going to take about 2 steps back. He's going to assume about a hip width stance, and his toes are going to be out slightly. He's going to have good posture. His eyes are going to be straight ahead, which allows him to have a neutral position for his spine and his neck before we begin lifting. Before we begin the actual lift, we've already talked about our bar placement and our stance and our posture. So, Zach, if you get underneath the bar and take a step out, we're going to go ahead and talk about our initial phase of squatting and some key clues that we use, some clue words that we use. The first one of which, before we start any kind of downward movement in our squat, we want to make sure our athletes set their hips back, which allows them to get their spine in proper position and allows them to train for the utmost power and the utmost safety in keeping that good spinal angle throughout the entire movement. So, Zach, if you go ahead and set your hips for us, we're going to demonstrate a hip set by just pushing your hips back, and then he's going to go ahead and complete. He's going to do our downward movement in our squat for about 2 counts, in 1,001, 1,002 down, and then he's going to actually extend up with the same kind of tempo. So Zach, go ahead, set your hips and sit. And if you hold it at the bottom for me, Zach, he's maintaining a really nice spine angle here. His femur is approximately parallel to the ground. Now come on up. And he's going to come up to full extension when he finishes. Make sure that we drive our hips forward as we finish the lift, and he gets in full triple extension posture. Go ahead, Zach, let's do another one. Set your hips back, sit, and his knees are approximately over his toes, which is perfect. Come on up. His spine maintains the spinal integrity that we have to have in a perfect squat. Good, one more, Zach. Set his hips, sit, and he comes up. And now we're going to put the bar back in the rack. Obviously, we like to have spotters. We're not using one today, but we always have spotters in our classroom and athletic situations. Okay. Okay, we're going to talk about our actual squat right now after we've already talked about bar placement and posture. Chris, if you'd go ahead and take the bar off the rack. Now, Chris is a little taller than my other lifters, and I just want to reemphasize to you that all your athletes and/or students, they're all going to have different styles. They come in all shapes and sizes, but the fundamentals are still the same. Chris has real nice posture. He's ready to go. His eyes are straight ahead. Set your hips for us, Chris. He's going to set his hips, and now I want you to hold it at the bottom. Go ahead and do your squat. And he's going to hold that nice spine angle at the bottom of the movement. His femur is parallel to the ground. His knees are above his toe, or right about where his toes are. Go ahead, come up. And that's just really solid, nice, safe, good squat. Go ahead, Chris, give me another one. You don't have to hold it this time. 1,001, 1,002. He's coming up off the ground. Also, we want a sensation of pushing with your heels at the bottom of the lift when he comes back up and finishes extending his hips, knees, and ankles to finish the lift. Go ahead, Chris, put it back. Thank you. Okay, now the last segment we're going to talk about this morning, Zach, go ahead and take the bar off, is how we're tracking our knees and our femur and our lower legs so that everything's in alignment, so that we don't have anything going on with our legs and they're not stable. So if you hold at the bottom for me, Zach, go ahead and squat down. If you'll notice, his kneecap is right over his second toe. He's in perfect alignment, which allows him to develop more power, and it's also the safest way to execute the squat from the downward movement up. Go ahead and get up, Zach. Give me a couple more. Down one, up, good. Down again, up, good. And let's do one more. And notice also his vision, his eyes are straight ahead. Go ahead and put the bar back. His eyes are straight ahead so that his spine stays in a neutral position. Okay, again, we got a second lifter here. Again, he's a little bit taller, and his dynamics are a little different, but however, the fundamentals are the same always. Chris, if you go down one time and hold it for me at the bottom. Again, look at his kneecaps, look at his patella, and it's relative to his second toe. We want to really look at that line of force. Go ahead and come up as he executes the squat. Go ahead and do me two more, please, Chris. Nice. And one more. And up. Very good. Everything's in alignment, everything's safe, and his power lines are really, really good. Hi, this is Coach Vogt again, and we're going to talk about power clean and hang clean today. And the first thing we're going to do is show you the entire movement before we break it down into teaching segments. Zach's going to do 4 reps of a power clean, and we call them power cleans because they're off the floor, as opposed to a hang clean, which we do from a hang position. So go ahead, Zach, if you do 4 of those for me. Nice. Nice high elbows. All right, good explosion. We'd use this for explosive hips, for creating power, and power adds a time element to everything that we do. That's why we do these for our athletics. Thank you. Good. Another variation of the power clean is the hang clean, and we're going to have Chris demonstrate this for us. A hang clean, by definition, is the bar only comes down to approximately the top of our kneecaps, and we don't go all the way down to the floor. So we eliminate the first phase, or the first approximately 12 inches of the lift. And sometimes we do this as a supplement, and it's a little bit more athletic than a true power clean. Go ahead, Chris, give me 4 if you would. Same fundamentals. He's got good hand position. Elbows are nice and high. He's getting good quarter squat. He's dropping under the bar. Good. He's showing a good explosion. Very nice. Thank you very much. Good. And that's our hang clean. Now we're going to go through our teaching phases of how to teach both the hang clean and the power clean off the floor. Okay, we're going to break down our power clean into basically 4 phases of the lift. First phase is off the floor, and what we look for here initially, again, we're going to talk about stance. Our feet are approximately underneath our armpits or underneath their hips, whichever the kids can relate to. And then as we grip the bar, our hands are going to grip the bar slightly outside of our legs. Zach, if you just demonstrate the grip for us. And we like the bar is pretty close to our shins, and that allows us to drop our hips. Go ahead, Chris. Zach, drop your hips and get in a ready position. Now, he's like in a squatting position right here. His spine is nice and straight. He's in a good squat position. And now our athlete's ready to bring the bar excuse me, off the floor into a full triple extension. Go ahead, Zach, if you'd give me about 4 of our segment 1 moves. Go ahead, up, good. Let's keep those elbows nice and straight all the way. Don't move the elbows, good. He's good. He's lifting with his legs here. We like to do a lot of quarter squats. As in athletics, that's really important. And it's important for us to develop power in that area. Thank you. Okay, we have our second athlete going to demonstrate our first phase of the power clean here again. And Chris is going to get in his ready position. He's going to get a good stance. If you notice, he's a little bit more narrow than our other athlete was, but that's fine. He's still underneath his hips. Toes are straight ahead. That's another thing I forgot to mention. And his hands are right outside of his legs. His head is going to be up as he begins. He's in a good squatting position. The integrity of his spine is really what we want. He's nice and straight, and he's in a powerful position. His hips are ready to explode off the ground because we're really trying to develop timing and hip strength here in this cleaning segment. Go ahead, Chris, give me about 4 of those. He's going to stand straight up with the bar and get into triple extension. Good. Eyes are neutral. Good. Now you can see he's a little different than Zach was. He's bringing his shoulders back a little bit, and that's fine. They're both doing exactly what we want. Thank you. Good. Okay, the second phase of our power clean is what we call our power shrug. We're going to take the bar off the floor, and now Zach is going to, as he brings the bar up, we're going to get our triple extension. Now we're going to also incorporate the first move of getting the bar to move. I'm going to talk about speed of the bar, and it really starts off the floor, and that bar's got to continually move until we complete the movement, the racking movement at the end of the clean. So Zach's going to go ahead and come up and give me a shrug, Zach, off the floor. Good. Now we call these power shrugs because we're coming off the floor and we're incorporating our first move, and now we're adding our second. We want to keep our balance. Good. And down. Very nice. Good. Good. Perfect. Okay, again, we're going to talk about the second phase of our clean. Chris is going to demonstrate from a hang position as opposed to coming off the floor. And this is a variation that we can use. I think it's very athletic, and adds a little bit more speed to the movement, and that's why we do it. And again, we're getting a lot of quarter squats, we're getting a lot of hip movement, and now we're incorporating the shoulders as we're keeping the bar moving and shrugging it with our shoulders before actually racking the bar at the end of the movement. Go ahead, Chris, if you give me 4 of those, please. Same starting position. He's going to stand up with the bar, and now he's going to bring it down to his kneecaps and fully extend and shrug. Give me about 3 more of those, Chris. Real good. Good. Give me 2 more. Up. Good. Up. Very good. If you'll notice, both these athletes are coming up on their toes. You can sit her down. Because they're creating speed with the bar, and that momentum already is bringing them up to their toes. So let your athletes fully extend, not with their feet flat on the floor, but we want them coming up. And now I know that they're really starting to move that bar. Okay, the next phase of our power clean, we're going to add a pull to our shrug, which also keeps the bar moving and makes sure that our athletes don't end up with the bar out in front of us. We don't want to do reverse curls. We want that bar as close to our chest as we can get it. We want to maintain that approximate position all the way until we rack underneath the bar. Common mistake in cleaning is that the athletes want to bring the bar out here and throw their elbows underneath it instead of letting the bar continue on a vertical path and letting their body drop underneath the bar. So Zach, if you'd give me about 3 reps there, please. Again, everything's the same as our start. You got a great starting position, good hand position. He's going to come off the floor, shrug and pull to about mid-chest. Good, perfect. You want to bounce it? You can. Bounce 1. Yep. Bounce it off the floor and do 1. Yeah, like that. Good. Give me 1 more. Good, perfect. Down. I lied. I told you 3 and you did 5 or 6, whatever. So if you'll notice, another common mistake, a lot of athletes will start to, when they roll that wrist, their elbows will come way too high and they end up coming here with the bar. We can't have that. Our shoulders must maintain this kind of integrity and our wrists never bend. Okay, now we're going to demonstrate the shrug pull from a hang position. Again, we're just not coming off the floor. We just eliminated the first 12, 18 inches of the movement off the floor. So Chris, if you demo that for me. Excuse me. Okay, he's up, standing up. Hang, pull, good. Hang, shrug, pull, good. Shrug those shoulders and pull. And nice. He's got great integrity with his elbows here. Also, this really helps shoulder development, trap development, and again, I can't emphasize enough the importance of, go ahead and put that down, Chris, of these movements as far as developing your total athleticism in your players and your athletes. Okay, finally we're going to look at the full clean with the catch, we call it, and this is phase 4 of our lifting. We come off the floor, we've done shrugs, we've done shrug pulls, and now the athletes are going to demonstrate the full clean with the catch. And we want to emphasize again, elbows up when we finish as high as we can, and we want to emphasize the bar traveling in a vertical plane. We don't want that bar ever coming out here and doing essentially a reverse curl for us. So bar stays straight. The athlete's going to simply drop underneath it as the bar continues vertically off the floor as it overcomes gravity. Go ahead, Zach. Can you give me about 3 or 4 of those? Nice catch. He catches it in another quarter squat. So we've quarter squatted 3 times already. Good. Very nice. Perfect. Nice and solid. Elbows are up. Head's neutral. He's catching the bar right on his chest. One more. Everything's real solid, and that's an excellent power clean. Thank you. Okay, Chris is now going to demonstrate a full hang clean for us. Again, we're just not coming off the floor. We just eliminated the first phase. And again, I think this is a good variation to do on different days of the week, whatever. And again, I think it's a little quicker, a little more athletic move when we're emphasizing that in whatever phase of our lifting we're in. So Chris is going to execute 2 of these with his feet on the floor, and then I'm going to ask him to jump twice as he executes it. A little more advanced move, but our explosive athletes can do this and really help themselves. Go ahead, Chris. All right, started in the full extension. He's going to come down to a hang, and he's going to pull and clean. Very nice, real good. Elbows are high, back is straight, and he's under the bar. Good. Go ahead and do it with our little jump. We're going to jump now. Good. This is a very athletic move. He's got resistance coming. One more. Give me one more. He's overcoming the resistance, and he's actually jumping off the floor. Go ahead and set her down. This is great. I don't care if you're an offensive lineman, if you're a shot putter, if you're a running back, DB, that little jump really helps the kids' explosiveness. It's very athletic, and I just think it really helps your kids to explode and change direction and increase their speed and jumping ability. Okay, now we're going to demonstrate a variation of our power clean that we use infrequently in our lifting cycles, and it's going to be, we call it a power clean to a front squat. We're just adding another movement to the exercise, and also I think it helps their athleticism again, and explosion and coordination, because not all your guys can do this sometimes. But so we're going to go power clean to a front squat. Go ahead, Zach, if you demonstrate that for us, that'd be great. Very nice, good. Elbows are still up. Fundamentals are still the same, except he's catching the weight, and then he's executing a front squat in addition to the clean. So this is a total body movement that promotes lean muscle mass and explosion and athleticism that is just invaluable to athletes. All right, we're going to also do the front squat with a hang clean as well. Again, I just can't emphasize enough how much more athletic I think this is, and you won't do as much weight, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. It's all about weight, and it's all about explosion. So Chris is going to execute 2 of these with not jumping off the floor, and then we're going to do 2 with the jump, which again is a little bit more advanced move, but also it's a lot more explosive. So go ahead, Chris. He's going to do 2 hang cleans to a front squat first. Okay. Good. Nice. Nice elbow position. Good hips. Now he's going to do 2 of them. He's going to jump, and then he's going to squat. Nice. Nice. And do another one for me if you would. Good. Very nice. Well done. Well done. Okay, one more variation we're going to share today before the end of the video is we're going to do a power clean to a push press, which again is we call it a complex movement, where we add different movements to the clean, and we happen to call this one a power clean to a push press. Okay, go ahead, Zach, if you would do that for us. Let's go about 3 reps, and maybe 4 if we feel energetic, huh? There's our clean, and then he's going to quarter squat again and press. Very nice. Let's do 3 of those. Perfect. Very solid. Our guy's got to concentrate. Power clean is real solid, and then he's going to add the push press overhead, which is a nice component. Again, he's using athleticism. He's using balance, and obviously strength. Thank you, sir. Very nice. Nice component to our power clean. Power clean to a push press. Beautiful. Okay, again, we're going to demonstrate the hang clean to a push press, and then we're going to add one more movement at the end, which is pretty advanced, but we're going to do it and show you another athletic enhancing movement for you. So Chris, if you demonstrate our hang clean to our push press for us. We're going to do 2 reps here. Good beginning position. Hang, clean, and quarter squat, push press, elbows locked out over the head. We like to see that bar come right over his ears, and he's going to drop under it and extend his elbows. Very nice. Set her down, Chris, real quick. And now we're going to do another hang clean, but we're going to add a push jerk, which adds another quarter squat to the movement, and our athlete's going to drop under the weight, and then he's going to extend up as he finishes each rep. We're going to do 2 of these. This is probably one of the more advanced things that we do in here, and not all your kids can probably do this, but if they can, with good form, it'll enhance their abilities. Go ahead, Chris. All right, that's our hang clean, and he's going to do a push jerk. Drop under the bar one more time. Hang clean, push jerk, lock it out over his head, very nice, and set her down. Good. That concludes our demonstration today. I want to thank our lifters, Chris and Zach, for coming in and working out with us today, and hopefully this helps you guys with your cleans and your clean variations as you prepare your athletes for their competition.